petrol price adjustment announcement in the last week of the month. Well, cashless card tapping and smartphones have certainly helped us stay safer during this pandemic. But for the majority of South Africans, cash is still king. That's according to the Payments Association of South Africa. Now, around 1 in 5 South Africans do not have bank accounts, while between 2 and 5 million micro-businesses operate on a cash-only basis. And the association is calling for government and the private sector to introduce low-cost digital payment services so that poorer communities are not as reliant on cash. Ghita is the CEO of the Payments Association of South Africa, and she joins us now. Ghita, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. According to the research, many people simply don't trust digital because I see, according to SASSA's stats, 95% of beneficiaries withdraw all of their cash within 7 days. Why don't they want to keep it in a bank account?
So again, according to SASSA's research, they report that there is concerns about trust. So the first being, if I leave my money in my account and don't use it, could it actually be repossessed or taken away from me? And then also, I think, a lack of familiarity with digital payment systems. The more critical element, though, for consideration is the costs of going to withdraw cash and whether you can actually use the cash at your local vendors. So assuming that you're going to incur a taxi fare in order to go and draw cash at a ATM or at a retailer, in order to be able to use the cash back closer to home. So the point that you made about small businesses, or somewhere between 2 and 5 million small businesses being wholly cash dependent because 95% of their payments are being received through cash anyway, is exactly the point. So it's as much, I think, about the digital acceptance networks and reach as it is about people's behavior. And what we're seeing is completely rational in saving on travel costs in order to optimize the money that you are getting through your social grant.
How could lower cost digital services help then, and what's needed to make it happen so that it does reach certain communities?
So digital payment systems are necessary but not sufficient. And to that end, there's a lot of work that is going on in building new real-time, low-value, instant digital payment systems that allow payments to mobile phones, for example, or mobile numbers, for example, and request to pay functionality. The big trick on top of it, though, is to increase the acceptance networks, and we look to alternative means of initiating payments, such as QR codes, together with these new systems, in order to be able to drive acceptance across a broader range of locations. But as I said earlier, the payment systems are necessary but are not enough. So recent figures show something like a 64% smartphone penetration in South Africa. If you have a smartphone, you have the perfect means of both making and accepting a digital payment. But not only do you need to have the smartphone, but you also need to have access to cheap data. And that's before we even get into the trust and education issues, which we've already touched on earlier. So while PASA and Bank South Africa and our members are working on real-time, low-value payment systems that will solve the payment system problem, the reason for our view that there's a broad need for a broader intervention is because of the other factors that are at play here.
How willing is government to come to the party? What do they need to do in order to help this process along?
Certainly all of the regulators and different elements of government that we talk to have the same interest in this. Nobody was comfortable with seeing social grant holders queuing in order to draw their cash in winter during a pandemic. So I think everybody wants to reduce the reliance on cash. At the same time, I think we all recognize that you do not want to marginalize those who are outside of the digital economy further by simply taking cash away. So cash is necessary, but we would argue what we should be aiming to do is to increase the number of parties who are active in the digital economy so that the reliance on cash can be reduced. Simply removing cash from the system is not an answer because there are too many people for whom that is the only means of getting into the economic system.
Yeah, and certainly we haven't touched on it, but certainly digital services is far safer for many people as well. Ghita, thank you so much for joining us. Ghita Erling there, CEO of the Payments Association of South Africa. As we said, while higher income earners are increasingly relying on cashless shopping, the majority of South Africans do prefer that cash in their pocket because of the access, because of the education, and because of their trust in the system. Well, earlier we told you that the Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine will not